Okay, how's that? Do you guys hear me now? Hopefully the sound is working now. We'll give it a few minutes and let me make sure that this one is. Yep. So I'm just going to give it a second while it catches up, see if the sound is working. I know it also just rained here, so sound is good now. Perfect. Sorry about that. Let me start my whole intro over again. Welcome back to Ion Radio. This is the Backseat Admiral. I'm John. And today's September 11th. Kind of crazy to think that it's been 21 years now. Nuts. Haven't been able to do Backseat recently. Last week was a holiday in the United States. And just busy with family stuff and things like that. So I figured today we would do like a double header of the last two standard season episodes that we've released and talk through the fleets and the battles and things like that. So I'm gonna pretty much get right to it. If you guys have thoughts and comments about it, like always, just post them down in the chat. Give me 1 second. I just gotta check something. Yeah, still doing good. Okay. Okay, so I have a General Grievous list, and with this list, I was trying to do something different. Actually, you could see both of the fleets that I fly this time. I'm trying to do something different. Most of the time in these games, I didn't actually get to set out and achieve what I was looking for. Part of that reason is that the way Ken and I designed seasons 3 and season 4, we divided up all the admirals or commanders, and we each then did half of them, and then we took all of them, and then we made season 3 and season 4 matchups all at once. I tend to play fighter heavier, and Ken tends to play fighter light. So like near the end of these seasons, like I'm out of massive fighter fleets of Ken's to pair up against. So both of these lists have fighters in them, and both of Ken's do not, because that's how he plays. So when we go over this fleet, you can kind of see what my ideas were for it, and then I can talk about how I think hypothetically they will work. So I start off with a hard cell transport with General Grievous and CommsNet. I always think it's funny to lifeboat General Grievous, mainly because of the fact that that's what he does in all of like the cartoon shows and stuff like that. He's off on the non-important ship, ready to, retreat as soon as possible. So I think it's funny when you put him on like a hard cell and not even the combat ships. I have two very similarly equipped Recusants. The only difference is Patriot's Fist title and the officer. So on them, these are not even like the normal Recusants that you see flying. So this is a support destroyer. And I have flight controllers on it. I have reserved hangar deck, advanced transponder net, link turbo laser towers, and Patriot's Fist. So flight controllers, like this version of the Recusant has 3 squadrons, perfect, and then it has red range anti-squadron, so link turbo lasers works really well with that to start thinning out squadrons, and then reserved hangar deck so I can bring a swarm fighter back. Pretty much the same thing here, except I have TI, so if you're shooting at my squadrons, I get to counter you back, which is fun. And I have 6 hyenas, and I have you guys can't see it because I'm blocking it, but 4 vultures. So I have 10 squadrons. So basically I can put Grievous down in his little ship and then 5 more deployments. So deployment number 7 is going to be my right? Yeah. Deployment number 7 is going to be my Recusant, and then deployment number 8 is going to be the Patriot's Fist. And the idea here is that if you don't have fighters, I'm just going to bomb you to death with a whole bunch of hyenas. Because if you don't have fighters, I can just command all my hyenas all at once with both my ships, getting up to 6 bombers coming in at a turn. And if you do have fighters, then I can suicide my vultures in, and it gets Grievous's effect, flight controllers, and vultures then hit as hard as defenders, because, blue-black, flight controllers, blue-blue-black, AI anti-squadron, blue-blue-black-black with swarm is pretty good for 8 points with the vultures. And then if they die, I bring them back. And if you choose to shoot me, TI says I get to counter you with 3 dice, so I'm still going to do some damage on it. And what I wanted to test in this fleet is hyenas with flight controllers. So if I can't get through bombing, I'm not afraid to throw hyena in there. They're very cheap, and what I can do is bump their 2 dice up to 3 dice. So 3 blues isn't bad. That's like a standard TIE fighter or an A-wing. And it has 4 health. It's like an A-wing then. And I can try to chew through squadrons with squadrons that you never would really expect to be fighting. And then if you choose to attack, I'm going to have an activated TI again, hits you with 3 dice. So pretty much everything is designed to die in this list. And yeah, so that was kind of the idea. And then I have 2 Recusants just flying around top speed with all the fighters swarming around them, with Grievous just chilling in the back corner. That was kind of the idea of this fleet, and I kind of did that against Ken, just he didn't have any fighters for me to try it on. But I don't know. This is a list that I would try again and try to do it against fighters, just because it's kind of a cool list. See, Ken's like, fighters are overrated, and we'll see more in season 6 and 7, probably. Have you thought about Ruthless Strategist maybe on a Gozer? So something to keep in mind about both of these matches were actually filmed before the release of Rapid Reinforcements 1. So this is me experimenting with different ideas. And I'm going to go back and show you. So like Advanced Transponder Net would be way better as like expanded hangar, but I just kind of wanted to bring it just because, 6 hyenas, they're heavy, and that means you can't attack my ships with squadrons. Ideally, this fleet would be way better with only 1 Recusant, and the other Recusant just gets converted over completely into battle hard cells and things like that, and then maybe a Gazanti in there to help clear the sky. But at the time of this recording, we recorded it before Rapid Reinforcements came out, so that means I had this list probably like November-ish of last year designed, because maybe even sooner than that. I don't remember when Ken and I actually sat down to determine what would be in season 3 and season 4, but it was a long time ago. So this list has been designed for a long time. Let's jump over to Ken's list. He had some interesting ideas too. So he is a 5 deployment interdictor, gladiator, onager list. He has Mati to add a little bit of health to everything. On an interdictor, suppression refit with Captain Nina, which Nina on the interdictor is pretty good because it has that double contain, and using the evade is way more useful a lot of times than using the contain. Projection experts to try to keep, the Star Destroyer, the onager alive. Disposable capacitors because it's just great on it. Then for your 2 special weapons or whatever, experimental. He has Targeting Scrambler, which is my favorite one, and then G7X Gravwell Projector, which is you start at speed 0. And I can go either way with this. I kind of like not the one that you're allowed to move things, so I go back and forth which one of the 2 I like better. This one, which is the Gravwell, the other one, which is a different type of Gravwell that can move obstacles. Targeting Scramblers is a must, an interdictor title, so you can refresh it. Pretty good. Next, he has an Onager class Star Destroyer. And Ken just wanted to experiment and play with the Star Destroyer because no one really plays with the Star Destroyer, so he thought it would be fun. He has the Emperor on it. And Gunnery Chief Barillion, Veteran Gunners, XI-7s, Orbital Bombardment, Particle Cannons, and the Raquel title. Its dice arrangement is different than the testbed, and it's way more expensive. It's 110 points compared to, like, what is it, like 90 or something for the testbed. And what you get for that is better dice out, like the sides, better dice out the rear, I believe some more shields. Don't quote me on that. I think it's mainly just dice. And then the turbo laser slot. The turbo laser slot helps out immensely. So putting like XI-7s here is really, really good. And then Gunnery Chief allows you to swap in on dice, and then Veteran Gunners allows you to, completely re-roll. Something Ken and I were talking about afterwards is because I just chose not to go after the Onager whatsoever. That the Emperor kind of wasn't useful here, and the Emperor would be more useful on the Interdictor. He might be right. But what you could do then is you could take Captain Nita and you could put him on this Onager and replace the salvo. And then instead of XI-7s, you can put TRCs, turbo laser reroute circuit. So you can pull out, let's say, a double with Gunnery Chief, re-roll your entire lot, and then flip something to a double. Makes it pretty powerful, especially when you can just like swap in and out doubles or in and out accuracies and things like that, because you're really only making one shot. And its dice aren't as long range orientated as the test bed, so 3 reds out the front, 2 blues, and 2 blacks instead of 4 reds out the front and 3 blacks. So you're a little bit better at medium range, but a little bit worse at long range. So having like TRCs just to like pump up the damage would be pretty useful. He has a Gladiator, Ordnance Experts, Engine Techs, and External Racks. We talk a lot in the comments and with people on our Discord and things like that, and then directly after the game as well, that Ken really needed demo, so he needs to find 10 points to drop things to add demo. Because basically, if you bring a Gladiator, you want demo unless you're using it for a very specific purpose, which is what we'll see when I cover the next match. Has 2 Gazantes. The first one has Darth Vader and Repair Crews. The second one has Admiral Titus, and that's just really to do control things on here. And we talked about it afterwards. Like, Darth Vader's not really necessary with how Ken had it set up, because if you look here, you don't really want to kill the Emperor, and the Onager shot's really the only one that you want to reroll. So putting Nita over there would be the most benefit to him. That's about it. How would you fit demo? That's a good question. Ken and I talked about it, and we made it work, and I think it was dropping a Gazanti and then adding other upgrades. But now I don't remember how we got it to work, because a lot of times Ken and I, right after the game, while we're like cleaning up before we do our wrap up, we'll just talk about the game in general. And demo 100% needs to be here. And even if he drops everything, I think it honestly is just dropping Engine Tech. I gotta give me a second while I figure out where his points lie in this list. Sorry, gotta look it up. Ken's list in this comes in at... I gotta open this file. But I think dropping Engine Techs, because Engine Techs doesn't necessarily help that much. Ken's bid is... where is it? 1. So you would need 1 more point. So if you drop Engine Techs and, let's say, Titus, that's going to be 10 points, because demo's 10 points right now, right? I forget all these upgrades, but basically you just keep dropping things until it fits demo. And whatever you drop, it's going to be more worthwhile to get demo as a title for the ship. Yeah, 10 points. So if you drop Engine Tech and you drop Titus or Darth Vader, you fit it in, and then you just right on, and then you just leave the rest of the list how it is. The rest of the list, the bones is pretty good. Well, we were talking about switching out for TRC and Nita and switching maybe the Emperor and Nita around, I think would be a benefit. Okay, I'm going to check out where the comments are, and then we're going to break down how the game went down. My comment about the demo last year, so I'm tempted to drop Decaps, Emperor, X-Rex to get demo. Thinking about it more, I would consider projection experts and X-Rex for it. Yeah, I would go, I'm agreeing with Ken, what he's saying is, that, again, drop Engine Techs and probably Titus and Vader. Done. Yeah, repair crew could be dropped too. I think that was another one that we talked about. Let me see how much repair crew. Repair crew's 4. Yeah, so you could drop repair crews to CommsNet, keep Titus, keep Vader, drop Engine Tech, grab demo. And I think the fleet becomes suddenly way more lethal than it currently is. And you will see this when we talk about how the game went. So we're playing Hyperspace Assault, which honestly the only reason I took it is because Ken didn't have demo. Because if he has demo, it completely changes, everything about everything. You can see how we deployed. I have all my fighters that I can drop here. And my Recusants off to the side. They go really fast, so my hope is to be able to dodge the arc of these and get into his side. Which is going to be hard because he has Raquel and things like that. So he can just pivot, which makes it harder than like Cataclysm and things like that to do. And then I'll show you a little trick that I like doing with hard cells in this. So as you can see, I'm trying to sprint around to the side. I'm also trying to make this as you don't want to come here as possible, because if you put it here, all my hyenas here, and they're just going to attack you. So go ahead, do it, or not. With the token here, you want to shoot me, but I'm first player, so I can get out of it. This ship is not in the Onager arc, I believe. So if I can dodge it with this one, then you have to take this super, super extreme shot on Grievous. And Grievous, again, if something dies near him, he can get tokens back, so I can just chuck all of my tokens I want. And with only 3 red dice then at that super extreme range, the probability that you get an accuracy to actually block it, like there's no actual damage, and you have to take the shot because of the ignition. So sometimes trapping, like not actually getting all your ships out of an ignition shot is useful, because then you can force them to take a really, really bad shot. And that's what my hope was here. And then I have to, like, as I move forward, scoot out of the way of it, because I don't want to blow up at closer range when the blue dice and things like that to cancel my accuracy, my stuff out comes into effect. You can see here that the whole battle has shifted. This ship took right to the face like a terrible Onager shot and did tons and tons of damage. The XI7s really, really hurt me because it was like 10 damage, block all my useful tokens, re-roll something into the same thing, and then redirect 1 and take everything to the face. Not very fun. But I did tons and tons of damage to his interdictor, and it's about to go down even with Mahdi. And as you can see, everything's trading places. Ken dropped in his what should be demo over here, but he only can take long range shots, so Grievous now just basically activates to stay alive, and the Gladiator's going to slowly chase it. Like, if Ken could actually, like, if I let him, like, shoot me, like, close range twice with this is dead. Which is what demo could do if you had demo. Like, again, demo 100% changes everything about this game. I'm just using my fighters now to clean up all of these transports. Like, I did like the turn calculations in my head. Like, I don't have enough damage to go through the onager, so why take the salvo and, spend tokens and things like that? Not worth the risk to my ships, so let's just kill what I can and try to run away. And that's what we're doing. This is like super danger close to the onager, especially the Star Destroyer, because 3 reds out the side is pretty strong. And I managed to get away, and that's the end of the game. So Ken took out a couple fighters. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. Ken took out a couple fighters. The other Recusant I took out his Gazantes and his Interdictor, so I killed 188. He killed 145, which is pretty close. And it came out to be just an MOV of 43 for 6-5. So we both enjoyed this game, even though it's technically a mismatch. Like, it's like me having like a heavy-ish fighter complement against his all-ship onager list. And I think it challenged both of us to try to adapt to the other playstyle that, like, normally we do, like, all ships or all MSU, or we want to try this specific thing against this. But this was just kind of like, we've already done all the matchups for 2 seasons worth, and this is like we're getting to the bottom of the barrel, and we're like, bottom of the barrel, who's in there? Oh, Grievous. Slop that out. And then, no, a terrible onager list, because, onagers aren't that fun. We'll put those 2 against each other and see what happens. And it ended up being way closer than either of us thought, because we both kind of thought that the other person had the advantage on us, which ended up being that neither of us had an advantage, and it just played out pretty well. So, if you guys have any questions on that one, go ahead and ask it in the comments. I'm going to start getting set up for the next talk, because the next talk is kind of crazy. Okay. I really enjoyed watching mismatches. It can give the chance to really surprise you on how the match goes. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. It's kind of interesting, because you would think, like, just because I had all the hyenas, well, they're hyenas and they belong to me, so they're not going to do damage. You'd think that I would be able to, like, just smash through damage, because theoretically that's like 12 red dice a turn. And it didn't work out that way. Like, the Recusant still did the majority of the damage. And Grievous was just doing his Grievous thing that was running away. And the way I flew Grievous this way and the Recusants this way, and then fighters in the middle, Ken had to, like, target prioritize. And, like, if you just chase after Grievous, then you have all the Recusants chasing you from behind. So I kind of, like, pulled him into the middle and then split him. So, like, he had to make that decision. So I don't know. It was a fun match for both of us. Let me go back up, see if I missed anything. Need on the onager is a great idea. Yeah, I actually really enjoy, like, for the most part, you don't want your onager shot at, so, like, having a salvo, cool, but it's not necessarily needed. And the evade is actually more useful, because more than likely you're going to be hit at long range, or someone's going to come in and try to do crits on you, and then you can re-roll to try to avoid those crits, is what I feel. What's your thoughts on hyperspace assault with Peltas plus 2 arcs in Plo Koon fleet? Interesting. So you can get closer to them and drop arcs on them, so they're right there. You are second player, so they still have a chance to run, but it's an interesting idea. It's probably better for the most part than taking, like, specifically doing that. It's probably better to do that than fighter ambush, because fighter ambush puts you at such a disadvantage of, I get to not do any of my fighters, and Plo Koon's probably only running 3 ships, so, like, 3 activations, the other player knows where you are, and then you put your fighters out afterwards. Normally I build my Peltas to be like support ships and pass, so what is it? That's the transport version. And they're there to pass shields out. So you could use probably then a really cheap version of, like, the medical one, whichever one has the 2 squadrons. So you could push both those arcs right when you come out. Yeah, that could work. I'm personally a Y-wing Plo Koon fan over arcs, because as much fun as arcs are, I feel like a lot of times I will roll and get double accuracies more often than not, and then I have 3 accuracies with Plo Koon. I would rather just the black dice, and then if they have PDICs, it's going to get re-rolled anyway. But I think you can take 3 fighters, so with cheaper fighters, you could probably bring more. Maybe then bring Hondo on that ship too, and then you can like trigger being able to act all 3. Split the fleet. Yeah, I like the idea. I do. Okay, so I'm gonna then get to this next match. And this next match was Leia versus Piett. And again, like what I was saying, is these lists were made like probably around this time last year. This was recorded in March. I would love to change this fleet up, because I think the next week afterwards is we recorded is when Rapid Reinforcements 1 came out and Darth Vader came out. And Darth Vader would have, in his TIE Defender, would have such a good home in this fleet. It wouldn't be funny. I talk about the birth and the design of this fleet, and a lot of the ideas in it are a straight copy from a fleet that was flown LVO way long ago. Like that's like what, 2020 or 2019 or something like that, and right before COVID hit, and it was what all the Canadian players were playing at the time, and they got to use it with only aces, which makes it so much better to have like Boba Fett and Bosk and fighters like that in here. But the 4 ace limit, I think, is a good balancing point. As you can see, like this is still crazy strong, but you can change it up a little bit. So it's a Piett list, which is weird. Like Ken and I talk about in the breakdown of it, that Piett is a commander that isn't very good, but you wish was, and I think he found a pretty happy home with us in this fleet. So I have him on a Raider 1 Corvette with Hondo and Corvus, and Hondo's just there to feed tokens to my Star Destroyer, and Corvus is there because I have basically all rogue fighters, so I can put Corvus somewhere, drop all my fighters, and peace out, and be somewhere completely different. And then still get Piett power because, flat lifeboating. I have a very stripped down Imperial 2. And this is used kind of like a battle carrier with Wolf Yularen. And what Wolf Yularen does is it allows me with Piett to use a token, use use Piett, keep the token with Yularen, and then do a full command with him. So the ISD can do 2 commands a turn if I wanted to. So I can navigate, I could confire, I could engineering, and then I could have a squadron token, and then I could just keep doing squadron commands every single turn with Piett. So like if you think about it, like the difference between like the other captain that you would, or commander you would think with this would be like Thrawn. Well, Thrawn's like 30 plus points and Piett's 22, and I'm going to get pretty much what I need out of this with him. And I have the options to do more than 3 times while it's only on 1 ship. But that's really all you use most of the time. Like when you really look at fleets, most of it is centered around one specific ship and other ships that support it. So like in the last game, I have my Patriot's Fist, and then technically the other Recusant's the same thing, but it's there to support the Patriot's Fist. Ken's list, he has the Interdictor, but the Interdictor's technically designed there to support the Onager. And in this case, the ISD is here to do all my heavy lifting. I have a lifeboat to keep my commander alive, and then the other ship is just there to keep it alive. So that's the little game I can play. I can do whatever command I want, usually engineering, to keep it alive, and then I can use the token with squadrons to activate 4 squadrons with Yularen. I have boosted comms, so I can reach pretty far out on the table. I have Jendon to extend that range to 2 other fighters. So I have a pretty large grasp of what part of the board I can be on and command my fighters. I have early warning system to reduce the amount of damage that can come in. This is pretty useful, especially when you look at things like MSUs that would wreck the ship, because, you know, I have like nothing on it. I can just make sure that they can't cancel, or I send all my fighters against your ships and let your fighters come in. Then I don't let you attack me because, you know, early warning system cancels out the dice. Then I have 7th Fleet Star Destroyer, and that's, again, like, you shoot me at long range, you, even like an onager shot, right? Let's say this fleet played Ken's fleet, so 3 red dice at extreme range. Early warning system makes that 2 because it's obstructed. You hit me with whatever it is, I brace it, and then I reduce the damage by 1 with 7th Fleet, and I take 0 damage. Awesome. Also, 7th Fleet and early warning system both work while you're at speed 0. So let's say you shoot me with those 3 red dice at extreme range, and I'm sitting at speed 0. Let's say you roll well, 4 damage. Oh, well, it would probably only be 3 because of early warning systems. So Ken rolls doubles against me. 5th Fleet says I get to reduce that, and I still have 1 shield on the front, and I'm going speed 0. Like, the damage potential that you can erase is pretty good with it. The next ship is Projection Expert Gladiator 1, and it has the 7th Fleet, and that's where you're going to get that damage reduction. Then he's going to take shields off of himself, and he's going to push it right onto the Star Destroyer to keep it alive, because this thing's like dirt cheap. It's like, what, 11 points, so 67 points for this thing. It's not made for combat. It's just made to sit behind your Star Destroyer and keep it alive. It is a hardcore support ship. That's all it's there for. Keeping the Star Destroyer alive. If it dies, oh well. Hopefully that means you didn't kill my Star Destroyer. And then we get to the meat of where all the damage in this fleet comes from, and that is the fighters. Mornarchy, Merrick Steele, Colonel Jendon, and then the secret sauce of this list, which is Major Reimer. And Major Reimer's ability is that fighters at distance 1 of him can attack ships at close range instead of distance 1. So because I'm playing a rogue ball and I'm planning on staying as far away from combat as possible with all my ships, this allows me to, as you'll see, like basically have full range across the table with all my stuff. Because if you set up at distance 3 and then distance 2 from that at the start, and then you move distance 3, now you're pretty much across the table middle line. And then Reimer's there, and Reimer's going to extend the range of all those fighters to shoot even farther. And what this allows you to do with the rogues is, because most of them are like speed 3, like you can just shift them and then they can shoot. Like if you have like a MSU ball that's going to try to like split and Y and flank around you, you can pretty much leave them all in the middle and just shift around killing things. If I had to, because I'm so upgrade light in a lot of these things, I would probably drop Mornarchy and bring in TIE Defender Vader. TIE Defender Vader, as soon as we saw him released, we were both like, wow. I would love to bring TIE Defender Vader into this list. Like, if I had more A slots, he would just automatically come in, but I don't. I think TIE Defender Vader's a little bit better than Mornarchy. He has longer distance, range, and then like between him, Steele, and Jendon, like you're doing like a ton of damage. And especially with Reimer, you could just sit him there and just boom, 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 and then Reimer and that entire ball just slides over somewhere else to try to kill something else. Vader also has better teeth at killing squadrons, and that's one of the reasons why I wouldn't drop Steele. I still think Steele is better than Vader because of the double braces, and he is really good with just automatically setting. He's like automatically 2 damage every time he shoots. Well, Vader's red dice has a little bit more swing. Then 2 fire sprays. And they're just there to lob 2 dice with Reimer. If you lock me down, it's still 3 dice against you. It's not too bad. So that's the fighter ball. It's pretty deadly, as you see, against the list. Okay, so we'll jump over to Ken's. Actually, I'm going to look at comments and then we'll jump over to Ken's. I see some things popping up. Medical with comms net, cheap enough to sacrifice for me. Black dice don't work and blue are quite consistent. Yeah, that's just our different play styles there. Black dice are way more consistent for me than blue dice, even bomber. Like, it's just insane if you actually watch how I play. I agree. A medical frigate with comms net would be very cheap enough to drop in there with hyperspace assault. That would be, and then you're at distance 3 already, and Plo Koon starts working immediately. This list feels rough to face without some fighter support, and even then, it does seem to at times to stop what it wants to do. Yeah, the fleet has enough ace power that with Rogue, like, you're very much so controlling where you want to engage the fleet. So you just like strategic strike in, and you can kill part of the cover with the things, and then Reimer allows you to bomb through it, which is why Reimer's there. So like, if you look at this picture, right? So if you put a fighter here and you put a fighter here, and you're like, I'm pretty much covered. The fighters can come in, kill this, and then sit way back here on like the edge of the ship and shoot it at close range. And then like the fighter support in the back, which normally would be able to block, bombing, has nothing to do with it because Reimer's just going to toss things right over their head. Even Bosk would be a great replacement for Morna. Yes, but I like Morna better than Bosk. She's just more consistent for me with her reroll than Bosk is, even with the accuracy. Because I don't really care with all these bombers if people are using their defense tokens. But Bosk is really good at killing squadrons. So that's nice. Are you concerned with not having enough protection for Vader? There's enough squadrons there that are high priority that I can just keep Vader a little bit farther back and move him in last to finish. Like, he's rogue, so I can use the ISD to push everything forward, not Vader, and then put Vader in at the end. It really just depends on how big of a squad ball. And you have versatility in how you can deploy. You have a Star Destroyer, you have a Gladiator. You have all your squadrons rogue except for Steel and Jendon. You have the ability to do multiple commands with your Star Destroyer every single turn. So you're very adaptable to whatever the game circumstances are. So I wouldn't necessarily say I'm afraid for Vader, because whatever you throw at Vader is going to be stuck in with the rest of the squad ball or in a flak bubble from an ISD2. So it should be fine, or if it's not, like, we kill each other squad ball and I run. So that's kind of the idea behind it. Okay, so Ken's list. Ken wanted to do something weird with Leia, and like, honestly, anything you do with Leia is kind of weird because she's kind of just one of those weird commanders. So oddly enough, we both decided at the same time. This is one of the reasons why we put these fleets together to begin with. Was we were using the titles that never come up. So I was using 7th Fleet, which you never see, and he was using the Mon Carin Exodus Fleet, which you never see, so it was just kind of a fun, weird matchup with that. So he has 2 MC-80 assault cruisers with Leia, engine techs, reinforced blast doors, electronic countermeasures, leading shots, link turbo laser towers, and then the Mon Calamari Exodus Fleet, which says when you use an engineering and exhaust another copy of this card on a friendly ship at distance 1 to 4. If you do, you gain 2 additional engineering points. So you could just, with Leia, reveal an engineering dial. Get the token effect, bring you up to 6. With the Monkill Exodus Fleet title, bring yourself up to 8. And you can restore a complete shield zone in 1 turn with that combo, which is pretty good. And then if like you get damage come through, reinforced blast doors gets rid of 3 of it right away. And then electronic countermeasures make sure that you can use that brace on the critical turn to not just immediately die. Yeah, it's fine for a build idea. My questioning thing on this, though, is engine text. While it is good to be able to move fast with it, like engine text in Leia, when you want to be engineering, doesn't necessarily work because then you don't get the token effect because you need to be doing the nav command. The second one is exactly the same, so same thing. Then the third ship is just because he had points and he likes this ship. This is one of Ken's favorite ships. It's a Neb B support refit with spinal armament and salvations. You can pump out a lot of damage, especially when you're using Leia with this. Like, you're 4 dice out the front, and then you con fire in, and you get a reroll, and then salvation does damage on crits. But not fun. And that's his fleet. So let's just jump into the games. So first game, because we decided to play 2 of this is like all the shenanigans perfectly worked out how I would have wanted to. And so my objectives for this fleet are, let me pull it up. Surprise attack, contested outposts, and superior positions. So surprise attack, I get to put you where I want you to be, and then all my rogues can do whatever they want to you. Contested outpost is I will sit there and you have to fly through my rogues. And superior positions is I get to see where you are and I get to decide the entire engagement. And if you don't have fighters, I'm going to farm so many points off of you with Reimer, even while you're trying to run away, because Reimer is going to let me bomb you at close range. That's mine. Ken decided that giving me all these points with contested outposts and superior positions was poor choice, and he decided to go with surprise attack. So I surprise attacked him right here. Grievous allowed me to drop fighters off right here. And then, I mean, this is a general setup. Like, honestly, if you were doing this and just wanted to win and move on, you could put all of your all your stuff all the way in this corner, drop it to speed 0, and no one's going to reach you. And then the fighters just move forward, try to kill the Neb. Neb's worth more than 60 points or 50 points, so it's an automatic 7-4, and then you can just fly your fighters away. And then I don't have to worry about all this flak bubble and all this nonsense here. And if you look, so like watch how far this is. So like fighters are here. Neb B moves. It's only going to speed 2. That's like a standard speed for a Neb to be moving. And with Reimer here, all of these are in distance 1 and now close range to this, because Reimer doesn't have to be at close range. Things around him at distance 1 get to shoot at close range. So like your range of how far you can actually move is quite large. I mean, like if we draw this bubble, like look at this. All these fighters can shoot at like a bubble like this. It's like a good chunk of the board that they can shoot at. And not even being commanded by the Star Destroyer at all. So that's like, you don't see Reimer very often, but I feel like a rogue fire spray type thing is how it's always been used. That's how it's used back in the day, and that's kind of what we're going to be seeing moving into again. So that game ended really fast because even with engine text, like Ken and I mapped it out. On turn 6, he would be here, and because he would be the one moving, I would be the one shooting him, and he wouldn't be shooting me. So there was literally no reason for it to continue because my stack was straight nav raids, so he wouldn't really be able to like engine tech very often to try to get over here. So the first turn, no. Second turn, yes. Third turn, no. Fourth turn, yes. Fifth turn, like it would take him a very long time to try to cut on over. So second turn, we flip-flopped, and I got to choose from Ken's objectives. And Ken had opening salvo, firing lanes, and doom stations. I thought firing lanes was a bad idea. Doom station was a really bad idea. So I decided, let's just have some fun. Like the first game was just nonsense and ended in like 12 minutes. So let's just blast each other with opening salvo. And so you can see I did the center of the table with Grievous, set him up, sit him here. Ken has to deploy all of his stuff. I decided to come over here again. Nebula B, juicy target. Maybe I can get my fighters in and kill it. And then my Star Destroyer can try to kill this. Honestly, Ken and I talked about it, and he thought that he could at least take minimally my Gladiator, maybe my Star Destroyer. And to do that, he would trade his Neb B and his lead MC-30. So I think at the end of the game, he made the comment that the amount of ships that died was right, just not the ships that he thought, which I thought was funny. So I start to prepare, and this is like where the flexibility of this fleet comes from. Like, I have all rogues. I don't have to use them as rogues. I can activate them. And with the Piett nonsense of just using a token, activating 4, it is it's pretty good. And I'm setting up so he has to fly into it, and then I can just start bombing him. And that's what we do. I do a lot of damage to this MC-30, and I'm keeping all my other stuff out of the way. It's obstructed. Like, a lot of things are obstructed. I can just control. My fighters eat the first MC-80 way faster than I thought. I also left it so that I think Ken had the choice of like getting rid of like 1 damage card with rapid reinforcement or reinforced bulkhead before, dying the next turn, which was intentional. So then he wouldn't be able to get a good use out of it. And then we swoop in. We already knew that we can kill like a Neb B in like 1.5 fighter rounds. So we start in on it to try to kill it the next turn. And then switch over to the last one. So Neb B goes down. And then like this is a juicy double arc ISDs, medium range beautifulness, and fighters. It just cleans it up. I end with no damage cards because I was repairing them off as I took them, just so then the opening salvo didn't score. So yeah, let's go to battle score for this. This one, not what I expected. I didn't actually expect to be able to kill all of Ken's ships off in 6 turns, and I thought I was gonna probably lose the gladiator and maybe some fighters from flak and things like that, but the rogue and Reimer really helped me control where I could position things, and then I just avoided flak bubbles and just pumped damage into the same hull zone that the ISD was shooting in. Like, it was a really good like coordinated type attacks. So I actually really enjoyed the fleet. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's a fun fleet just because it's pretty janky on everything that's Imperial. What's funny is because we filmed it back in March, and at the time this was before Adepticon and things like that, so I make meta comments at the time that we were mainly in a light meta comment, which is based pretty much solely off of what we were seeing out of like LVO and things like that, which was fighter light, onager heavy. Farmhawks weren't really around yet, and I'm like, this would just annihilate it. And now you look at where we are in the meta, and the meta is hardcore Imperial Rogue, which I don't know. I just think it's funny because that's where we're at right now with that. Because I think an Imperial Rogue list won Nova, and like Nick's Rogue list took second, barely took second. He almost had enough points to pass me at Gen Con. Like, we're in a very rogue meta right now, and then like this fleet, this is pretty good. Like, you could honestly change out the Star Destroyer and just rely all on rogue, and put an onager in it, which would be super mean, and have points to spare, which is kind of nuts. So let's see what other people have said. I was amazed at how effective that fleet is. I have no idea when I saw the list it would have half that effect. Yeah, I honestly didn't either. And like, what's scary is if you think if I could just go pure aces instead of having the fire sprays and just like take like Bosk and Vader and just bait it. Hold on, let me see if I can even do that. If I ignore the ace limit. I know my app always loves when I just make made up fleets. Let's see. Let's add in Jendon, Reimer, Vader, Merrick. where is it? Bosk, Mornaki. That's 132 points of pure aces. So you could have Jendon, Reimer, Darth Vader, Steel, Bosk, and Mornaki. 6 squadrons fit into 132 points. If there was no ace limit, I could take 6 aces. I would 100% take that. That would annihilate. So, yeah, that's super scary. Yikes. Remind me about which faction won Adepticon. I didn't get to play it since I was playing Infinity for Adepticon. Rebels won Adepticon. Mac brought a Agate assault frigate list and Yavaris. And he had... Actually, you can see exactly what list won if you watch our High Ground episode. Ken and I take the first and second place fleets from Adepticon and play against each other with it. So you can watch how they actually play out. We also talk about that in our podcast. I think that was podcast episode 2, maybe 3. But we break down all of the top 4 Adepticon fleets, but it was an Agate fleet. Agate fleet with Hera to make some things rogue, but mainly just activations through like Yavaris and things like that. So yeah. Let me think. I've been up all night at work, and I'm going to be going to bed because I got to go back to work just because life's crazy. So I'm probably going to wrap it up shortly. We covered a lot of ground in this, so hopefully you guys got some insight into weird fleet buildings, because I think both of these fleets are... What's interesting is these fleets I designed a year plus ago, and you're starting to see very similar things take place now. The Grievous list, like I said, like I didn't want to run optimally. I just wanted to play with 2 Recusants because it's fun to get both those ships out on the table. But if you replace them with hard cells and maybe a Gazanti to up your activation level and get some other hard cells in, that's pretty much what did very, very well at like Nova. Less fighters. I think the fighter squads are like, they go with is like 5 vultures and 3 hyenas, and then obviously different upgrades, but like that's something that you've seen the CIS use a lot of recently, and then Imperial Rogue all over the place. Let's see. This coming week, we're going to have spoiler. We're going to have the, I believe, pivotal battle for our Clone Wars Rebellion in the Rim, which is exciting to get a big game like that out on the table and let you guys see it. So that will be fun. Ken has posted up a link to the copy of the rule book, if you would, for what we're playing currently with Clone Wars. We, while filming more of it, came across some other things that we changed, so we definitely have things to talk about at the end of it that really just steps and parts that we didn't think because we hadn't played through it yet. So we've gone back and patched it into the current game. That would, I think, just help a little bit with the flow. Like, it's not necessary, but the flow helps pretty well. And then we also, after that, are going to have the season finale of season 4. So give me a second, and I might give you guys just a sneak peek of what that looks like. Okay, here we go. Just a quick flash. Again, it's a season finale, so it's going to be monster truck-ish. Bam. You guys have that to look forward to. We're both really excited to show off that match. So that's going to be coming, I believe, about 2 weeks from now. So, let's see. Then we're going to be diving into season 5, and season 5 is like nothing else we've recorded so far. What we've done is we've taken all of our Patreon people. They could submit lists to us, and then we open it up to like Discord and YouTube to submit lists. So all of the lists in season 5 are not made by Ken or myself. They are all made by other people, and we're flying them. So I let Ken pretty much choose whichever the 2 fleets of the matchup he wanted, except for once, because I had just finished painting the night before my Rebel 1 Providence, and I'm like, I kind of really want to play this list because it has that ship in it. So I chose that fleet, but the rest of the fleets are all Patreon members or Discord members fleets, and we're going to be crashing them against each other. So it should be a fun season 5. And then we're going to go back to switching off commanders again, because Ken and I both really like that. So if you ever wanted to know what a commander fleet looks like, look no farther than season 3 and season 4, because we have every single commander in the game played in seasons 3 and 4. So I'm going to check out comments one more time, and then I'm probably going to wrap it up here. Yeah, but Double Wreck is a spicy meme. It is, and that's why I went with it. Because why be efficient when you can be memey? And I usually go with memey on that type of stuff. What about dropping the Glad to something like a Gazanti to make the ISD-2 into a real gunboat? So the reason why not to do that is because the 7th Fleet title allows you to cancel damage between the 2 of them, and then the Gladiator can just hang out in the back and heal. For the most part, you're just wanting your squadrons to do the work, and the ISD is there to assist it. If anything, if I could find 6 points, I would put flight controllers on the ISD to help increase the anti-squadron value. Originally, this list, way back in the day when it was first made with Canada, was a 2-ship list. It didn't have the Corvus. Corvus was my own special touch. But that list was decked out a little bit more. And but then also at the time, like, you didn't have to like charge your gunnery teams with a command. You could just automatically do it, and it had like a 20 to 30 point bid to guarantee that it got to choose what it is, so this fleet is a very different fleet from that. If I had more points, I would put more things on it. So dropping to the Gazanti, I don't think keeps the list how it was kind of meant to be. How many points is those? That's 800 points, the big match for season finale, which we play our modified monster truck rules, which is your flagship has to be a large or a huge ship, or whatever your largest ship is. So if you have a huge ship, it has to be a huge ship. And then for each large or huge ship, in addition to what your flagship is, you're allowed to take 1 small, maximum 1 flotilla, maximum 3. So for the most part, it's all going to be medium and larges. As you saw there, it's all larges and huges, except for, like, I think I have 1 Gazanti thrown in. 3 bricks and 2 big trinos. Who will win? That is a good question. Ken and I think we were talking, like, we did in that game 100 points of damage each. Like 100 points of damage each before defense tokens. It was just like, grab all the dice, shake them up, throw them onto the table. So, like I said, you're going to have to wait 2 weeks for that one, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So, I think that's it for news and like updates and things like that. So, I think I'm going to call it here. I appreciate you guys all waking up, depending on where you are, early Sunday morning with me and hanging out. And hopefully you guys enjoy the pivotal followed by the season finale, like big shooty events that are going to take place on Iron Radio over the next 2 weeks. And then we'll get back into the normal season stuff. So until next time, I'm John. This has been the Backseat Admiral, and you've been watching Ion Radio.